said and everything. So it's
and that was my kind of mindset as far as I was fully prepared for that game to go another hour and a half. Because I expected a hit and a really really solid leave that I probably couldn't shoot at, and I really expected that game to continue for a long time. So that's why I was so upset with not finishing that turn because it was.
But it was a remarkable position to be in, where you knew that if he missed, then you would.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, how are you going to prepare for tomorrow?
Well, what's interesting, and I think I mentioned this when I first got on, the lawns have gotten tremendously difficult as far as like I said, anytime you're approaching from the sides instead of behind the hoop, it makes a massive difference as far as how difficult it is. So I'm interested to see who wins this game 5 here. This has been a remarkable match.
And it was unfortunate as well that just as you were pegging out to win your match, Ed was taking this really ambitious shot from corner 1 to peg out.
I saw that. I was actually
and so we were sort of trying to commentate on both things at once. So
and
I hope that didn't detract
no,
from the moment for the folks.
It's one of those things. As a croquet player, you especially with another match is high quality going on beside you. It's hard not to peek over, even especially when a guy like Reg is on the lawn. You just sit there in awe because Reg is so deliberate. He's so consistent, so precise, and then you have a guy like Ed who he's really fun to watch. I mean, just amazing to watch. I was talking to Ed actually yesterday, and his backs. We actually have, so if you notice, very few people use Solomon grip with a left-handed grip, and he uses, if you get a chance to see it, he uses right hand on top, left hand on bottom, and there's very, very few people in the world who do that.
Yes.
And Ed and I are both left-handed Solomon grip players. And
but you use a bit of Irish grip.
I
for
do.
some shots.
So about 7 or 8 years ago, I noticed that a lot of my precision shots I was too strong on. I had too much power, and with Solomon grip, I didn't have very much control of getting the balls to land at a certain pace. And so I started messing around with Irish grip, and I noticed that I started playing a lot of GC, and in golf croquet, setting up in front of the hoop is very crucial.
That's
and
right.
a lag shot.
So the precision of the lagging. So you found that it was better with the Irish grip.
Yes, and so I kind of implemented that into my association game, and it's made a massive difference, especially around the hoops.
Yeah.
But
do you want to talk about it? I'd like Pete to have a bit of a chat to you, but so do you want to take this headset, Pete? Because I think actually Pete's just told me that Robert's last match that he lost by more than a single game was back in April 2017. So,
wow.
Wow.
But
I've been really. Whoever the winner of this next game is, we're going to have a fantastic final on our hands tomorrow.
I hope so.
We either have two of the sort of swashbuckling, exciting players, or we have a swashbuckling, exciting player playing
that's right.
Someone with a completely different style, and it should be fantastic spectacle. But I'd like Pete to have a chat to you because I'm
Absolutely.
sure he's got some great questions for you.
Thank you, Gareth.
Thank you, Gareth. I'm not sure if I do, but firstly, congratulations, Matthew.
Thank you.
Something spectacular, and so I said to Gareth, that's the first loss for quite a while for Robert. So you've got to earn a match win over Robert Fletcher. That's a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, one thing I didn't get a chance to mention speaking to Gareth is I knew coming into today, in croquet, it's not like any other sport where, you do a lot of scouting or anything like that. You just go out and kind of play your game. And I actually knew, I've watched YouTube videos and different things on Robert my entire life, and I knew he played Super Shot very, very often.
Yep.
And I play Super Shot every game.
Yep.
So I knew this was going to be a match of who shot better. If I shot well, I had a chance to win. And so I just tried to put myself in opportunities. It's hard to see from up here, but The east boundary on Lawn 3 that we were playing on is very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a shocker.
And so it made a massive difference as far as there was a couple shots in the first 2 games that he hit that I can't explain how good of a shot it was because it's one of those ones that in croquet it's really difficult to not aim at a ball and still hit it because on that boundary you probably had to aim 4 or 5 inches to the right of the ball
and trust
that your line is correct and trust the lawn's going to do. And so and there was a couple of them, he just hit dead center. And so you know, normally when you give somebody a shot like that, you feel pretty comfortable that they have to play some form of break. Right. And he did a phenomenal job in those first 2 games. And so what I tried to do in games 3 and 4 is my new standard leave that I set, I made sure to set it a lot higher, a lot more south. To try and make that shot even longer. Because that break plays even more. So instead of aiming 4 or 5 inches, now you have to aim 7 or 8. And so it makes a massive difference as a shooter to change your alignment as far as how far you have to aim to the right of the ball or aim to a certain way. So that was probably the most beneficial for me because, like I was telling Gareth, when you have a good player like that, if you get him to miss a couple of shots, it's really beneficial because this game is so confidence-based. If you walk into a shot and you're not quite sure about your swing, it makes a massive difference on your chances of hitting or missing.
You slide past a couple, and the pressure on the next time you step out.
And
while you've been winning every day, Matthew, you've probably been keeping out of the chatter and what's been happening on the lawns, but I can tell you that the buzz has been Matthew Essick all week. The players,
it's
players and spectators are just, they haven't. First of all, they haven't seen you here live playing, so to have a new face, new man.
That's right.
They may not have expected to be in this sort of form. It's like
wacky
do though. This is exciting stuff. So.
The last Worlds I played in was 2016 in the States, and. It was one of those tournaments where I was playing really well once I got the balls, but I wasn't hitting in very well. Yeah. And so when you play somebody who does hit in well, like Robert today, it makes a massive difference as far as, you can't just rely on break play. You have to hit in as well. And so the last Worlds I played in, it was much different as far as. I made sure this time when I came, I was fully prepared with my hitting. I wanted to make sure that I was hitting just as good as anybody I would play. And if somebody outplays me, then congratulations, so be it. But I wasn't going to get outshot. I wasn't going to let somebody outshoot me and lose because of that.
And, I saw you play in 2016 and 2017, and I think there's not obvious differences between what you're doing in 2017 and now. I'd say the amount of work that you must have done. I mean, the breaks are obviously a little bit tighter.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more confidence going on, but the shot. I mean, you've always been a good shot.
I have.
Good shot.
But I've been streaky for a long time, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't necessarily. I wanted to be known as a consistently good shooter rather than a guy who is on and off.
Yeah.
And so my goal this week is the thing, like I said, the thing about croquet is, one miss doesn't define your shooting for the day. You can't make one miss affect your next shot. The next shot is the next shot. It matters nothing about what the last shot happened. And so I try to keep that mindset as far as, I try to tell myself, and it's one thing, I don't know if you guys get close enough to see me, but I talk to myself a lot. It's one of those things that, like I said, this game is so much mental based that if you convince yourself that you're going to hit a lot of the times, you might be right.
We saw a little bit of the toy, a little bit of emotion.
Yes.
And got yourself back on track straight away.
That's right.
A little bit of self.
I've never been one to hide my emotions on the lawn. I've always been very emotional, and if I'm not happy with a shot, you'll know. I'll tell you. And so it's
when I see a player hit return roquets or roquets that have to be hit and you're hitting them centre ball, it's a good sign that there's been a lot of work done in the process of getting that roquet where it is. So it's well done.
Well, thank you. Looks like Reg is just made one back, or has he made one back yet? I don't believe so. He just made 6 and he is on one back. Okay. Yeah.
And slightly changing topic, Matt, because it's also a bit of the buzz talk around at the moment. We've got the Mac Robinson Shield here in 2021, and the American team are looking like they're putting a formidable challenge up. So it's good to see.
We've been very for the last few years. We've been really top heavy.
Yeah.
We have Ben Rothman has been phenomenal for a long time. And then David Malouf, who in 2016 made the World Championship final.
Yep.
They've always been kind of at the top of our team. And then after those two, we have a couple of names that Danny Honeycutt, Jeff Sue. They've been in the conversation, but we've never really made that push where all 6 players are at their top form. They can play well in spurts, but they aren't always at the top form during the tournament.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to, as a team, get to the point where we compete with each other in the U.S. so much that our form is so good coming into the tournament.
The
correct.
5 and 6 player up.
Bring up each other based on our play.
It's a little bit like the Australian blueprint. We looked at what wasn't going quite right and things, and we had a goal for the year before the MAC that we wanted 5 of our 6 players inside the top 20 in the world, and we achieved it. And
that's it.
It was a goal set and a goal achieved. And,
absolutely.
And you're going in with confidence. And it's not only just about ranking, but that means that you're playing the line of play that you need to do to compete well.
And that MAC, unfortunately, the last MAC in 2017, I was still in high school, and so I only got to perform in 1 week of the 3-week match, and it was very, 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 very interesting to see the Australian team as far as Greg Fletcher, I believe, was the 5 or 6 seed. He was a top 10 player in the entire world, and so the fact that he was playing that high of a level of croquet at that spot on the team really allowed for you guys to.
And he was our only debut player in that team.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone had experience.
And so you've built up, we built it up a little bit.
That's right.
And it's exposed too many people at the same time. And
exactly. And that team was young, too. I mean, all 3 Fletcher boys, they got a lot of croquet left in them. And it was unfortunate that Malcolm couldn't compete this week because he's a top 10 player in the world as well.
He's a top 10 player in the world when he's going. And it was we're here to talk about you, but the Australian team was, it was a nice balance. We had the established players and all the young ones. We all get on good.
That's
the
right.
age difference doesn't make too much difference in what we do off the court.
We're
all enjoying each other's
exactly,
company.
and that's part of the success is you can't have a team that doesn't enjoy being together. Especially you don't want to have a team where maybe there's one person who other people don't like or doesn't do a good job of getting along, that kind of thing. And so it makes a big difference as far as we've tried to do a good job of in the States. Any tournament that we have, you have tournament dinners and whatnot, and not necessarily the really formal stuff, but just getting together and exactly spending time together, and it makes a massive difference as far as, it's a lot different. This kind of event, you're competing for yourself.
For sure.
And in a MAC, it's a lot different when you're playing and there's a lawn beside you where it means just as much as your match does because you're on the same team.
Yep.
And it makes a massive difference as far as team events like that, and those are my favorite as far as croquet goes.
Certainly spot the difference. I mean, the Americans all get on and they're always
that's
good
right.
fun at every event, but this one is a little bit different. I'm seeing a good cluster of the North Americans.
That's right. That's right.
Including Brian Cummings and a few of the others.
I've said it all week. Brian Cummings is an American in my eyes.
It's been good. I've been enjoying seeing once you've been winning every day, but whenever an American wins, you're all out there.
That's right. That's right. We really do support each other in anything, in any kind of tournament like this because, it's not only good for the one player that's succeeding, but it's like you said, it's good for the team. Anytime a player is performing well, it's going to bode well later on. So.
No, I can tell you, Australia will be certainly looking forward to the challenge of all the.
That's right. I think
teams. It's going to be a good.
It's going to be a very, very good, and I believe it's back here next year, correct?
Yeah. No, November 21 here.
That's right.
So, and conditions will be slightly different because it's growing seasons after the winter, but it'll be, it'll still be
interesting.
It'll still be tough.
That's right. Yeah, like I said, this is the we've had interesting weather all week here as far as
you've only had a little taste.
It's
you can get everything here in one day.
That's right. I heard that the first day as far as Melbourne's a place where you get all 4 seasons in one day. And I didn't quite believe it until until the first couple of days, and I found out that wasn't a myth. You know, that's completely true. So it's been a big change for me as far as. I start the day in sweatshirt, sweatpants, and then halfway through the day, and it's you're scalding hot because it changes rapidly. So it's been definitely something to get used to.
And you're North Carolina.
That's right.
Matthew?
That's right.
And your family's all still in North Carolina.
They are. So I actually I live in Orlando, Florida currently.
Okay, yep.
I teach croquet for a living.
Okay.
And so that's actually improved my play a lot.
Yep. Just through more
long time.
Just,
the only thing is most people assume when you teach croquet that you automatically become a better croquet player, and it's actually not true because even though I spend a lot of time on the lawn, I don't get to spend a lot of time working on my own game. A lot of it is meant for other people and trying to improve my members and people that are interested in learning from me. So somebody mentioned actually out there that they're sure my lessons will increase when I go back, and I said, you might be right. I'm not quite sure, but it'll be
a far short answer. Yes, of course.
That's
and I'll
right.
let you know the rate as soon as I can.
That's right. So that's one thing I've been really that's one thing I wanted to definitely shout out while I'm here. My grandparents and my family have followed me all the way. The one person I do want to shout out is my grandma is easily the biggest fan of anyone in croquet. She there's no one else she's changed her entire sleeping schedule to match Australian time so she can watch any possible match that might be going on. I'm sure she's still watching now just because she is so interested and invested in who's going to win and who I might play, and she's easily my biggest fan. So
and this is the same grandmother on the side of the family that drove you down to Florida.
That's right.
For the 2016.
That's right. She's
good fun.
That's right. She's been my biggest fan since day one. So she's actually the one who got me started. I started playing when I was 6, and she had a court in her front yard, and that's we would get together on Sundays for lunch, and the entire family would play croquet in the front yard, and so that's what kind of got me started, and I've been going ever since. So
that's a good story.
Yeah, she's definitely the biggest fan, and not only of me. Like I said, she is not watching this game necessarily because I'm playing one of the two people.
Yep.
She just loves watching good croquet, and as we all know as croquet players, croquet is not the most exciting thing in the world. There's a lot of things that other people might be interested in watching, but she loves it. She really does. So,
I've got a couple of questions from people looking for the answers.
Yeah.
Your mallet, Matthew, is it one of the Oakley?
It is.
ones?
Yes. So it's a 12-inch head, and it's a 37.5 inches shaft, and it's Oakley woods and it's an Oakley Predator. And the main thing, there's two main things I love about the mallet. One is the weight balance is tremendous. The first time I picked it up, I knew immediately that when you swing, I don't even feel like I have to swing it. It swings itself as long as I get it started. And the other thing is the shape. If you notice, a lot of the other people, especially Reg, Ed Wilson, and many people have different forms of mallets. Reg uses a trimmer. It's a square head. Not sure of the length of the head and everything, but it's one of those things that mine is rectangular, and it's much wider, and so it actually matches the size of the ball. And so on single ball shots, the sweet spot is much bigger because it's wider.
Yeah, yep.
But on croquet shots, the sweet spot is smaller because north and south, it's a smaller mallet. It's not as big. And so when I first got the mallet, for about 3 months, on my croquet shots, I'd hit it and the balls wouldn't go anywhere because I'd miss them. And because it's a massive change to a mallet that is smaller, and especially when you hit a full roll and you have a lot of angle on the mallet, it gets even smaller. And so you're decreasing the sweet spot you have. And so I really like it now, but when I first got it, it was very interesting, the change.
And what did you change from?
I was using what was I using? I don't know. I've been using this one for about 7 or 8 years. I think it was a square shape,
like
and I believe it was a Danny Honeycutt, I believe.
Yeah.
That's right. And it was a square shape, and I love that mallet too. But the biggest change that I've noticed is the balance. The balance in this mallet is, like I said, it's I almost don't have to swing it. Once it gets started, the balance is so good that it swings itself. So
well, I think who asked that question is going to like the answer, because they want to know if that then makes it a good birthday present.
Oh, it does. It does. I'm a full supporter of the Oakley Woods mallet. It really is a good mallet as far as especially the other thing I want to mention is it's very durable. I've had the mallet for 10 years, never had to get another shaft, another head, never had any breaks.
Does the handle come out of the head on this one, or is it
so yes, the only negative I have of the mallet is it comes off of the head, so the head and the shaft separate, but there's a screw in the bottom of the mallet, and so the shaft doesn't break away like the trimmer does. And that's the real positive of the trimmer, is the fact that if you go on a trip, you can just separate it and throw it in your suitcase. And I actually had a really interesting time with the Australian border control people. I was walking with my shaft as a cane, and so they looked at me and they said, what 21-year-old needs a cane? And I had a very interesting conversation to explain, hey, I'm here to play croquet. And they said, okay, what are you really here for? And I said, I really am here to play croquet. So that was an interesting conversation. But it's other than that, the mallet really is top notch. It's very, very high quality, and
you didn't have to put the fake limp on, which a few
that's right.
players used to do.
That's right.
With the croquet handle. If you were interested in, well, certainly just about the shot of the event so far, and the turn following the shot of the event was your shot where you hit Felix, when Felix didn't manage to peg out in that game, and then we reckon that shot was 38, 40 yards.
Yeah,
it's send a ball to.
That's right.
A good feeling.
It's one of those ones that I treat Felix a lot of the same as of Robert, as far as Felix is a fantastic shot. And when you're playing somebody like that, you don't want to give them another opportunity to hit because you just feel like they will. And he gave me one more opportunity to hit, and I knew it was my last chance to hit. And we talked about it after the match, and it wasn't a double, but it was just enough space in between the two that I could aim at the middle and say, all right, we'll see what happens from 38 yards.
He deliberately put the one ball where he did at the end.
Yeah, he was not happy with the spot, but it wasn't a double. It really wasn't. I could definitely fit between the two, but it was just big enough that I knew, if you aim at the middle, what are the chances that it goes that straight from 40 yards? And so right after I hit it, it was going pretty solid, and it started to turn a little bit, and I said, all right, that looks good. And so,
but the turn following was
the turn,
special,
and like I said, it's one of those turns that I was bound and determined to finish on that turn because peg and peg with a great shooter like that, you don't want to give him a shot, and especially that was game 2 in the match, and I knew that if I could finish that turn. That's one of those ones that, especially as a player who's up 24 to whatever it was, 9, that's a heartbreaker.
It's a blow,
it's one of those ones that no matter how good of a player you are, it's hard to come back from. And so that really gave me a stranglehold. Exactly.
Give the guy the chance.
And so.
Okay.
Yeah, let's take a look at this. Looks like Reg has just finished his 9, and he's setting a. Looks like he set a diagonal spread. Ed is 1-1, and this is the first break of the game. So we'll see what Ed's another one of those guys that you don't want to give another shot to. He's got one thing that you can't talk enough about is Ed's backswing. It's effortless, and it's almost shoulder width when it gets all the way back on that last swing, and it's remarkable how effortless he hits the ball and how hard he hits the ball. So.
Have you ever seen Ed Wilson? Well, he does it with Wilson Fletcher on YouTube. He plays a jump shot, from hoop 1 through hoop 2 over one ball on one bounce.
Oh, wow.
And
oh, wow. No, I have
after
not.
he pulled the shot. And the backswing is not only like as you're describing, but
yeah.
it's the best swing you could ever get it.
Yeah,
it's just the power he can generate.
It's unbelievable. And one thing I if you watch him play and you watch me play, we both use the Salomon grip, but my back is straight, but my knees are much lower. I'm very bent, you know, and I try to stay as sturdy as possible. And Ed is very, very straight up, you know, very little bend in the knees, very, 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 very sturdy. But it's remarkable how hard he hits it. It really is. So we'll take a look. I think he's looking at the, especially against a guy like Reg, you know.
There is some movement on this beatbox boundary shot
okay.
as well. Not as much as your lawn, Matthew, you played on, but there is.
Yeah.
They've both been
it's.
With it, so.
I'm sure it makes a massive difference, and especially you know when you play. This is the semifinals of the World Championship, and so you know in this game 5 here, you're not really concerned about giving somebody an on-time or delayed triple. You know, take the best shot you think you can hit.
Yep.
And
whether
so
be that over the best bit of land or the shorter shot or whatever
that's right.
you feel the right shot to hit.
So if he thinks he can hit from the A balk, it does, especially against a guy like Reg who's
whatever roque he hits, he's making a break from
exactly.
it. So
you know, and
get comfortable.
Yep, and especially after you know Reg just ran a very very clean and precise 9. You're not sitting here thinking, you know, what way can I make his triple difficult? You're thinking about what way can I hit the best.
100%.
So.
There's a bit of distance between yellow and peg.
Yeah, there is.
I don't know. I
was about to say Edward's backswing might make it a little bit.
Hampered, but you know.
Yeah, I you don't often see that, especially with a guy like Reg. His diagonals are normally picture perfect as far as, you know, ball really tight to the peg, and that west boundary ball is normally very close to the boundary and with very tight rush on the east boundary. So I think Ed believes either he might take a shot at the peg ball here at yellow.
Yeah, it's the flattest bit of land that he's going to be facing.
No, it's not a common shot.
They've both moved. And it's, you know, a yard or so shorter than the other direction needs to hit.
One thing I do want to commend, the camera angles and
it's good stuff,
it's phenomenal. You know, top notch. You don't see this very often in croquet events. The quality of. Looks like he's just missed on the left there. Good effort. And with a guy like Reg, now you just pray for a mistake, you know.
He's been in this position quite a few times.
That's right.
Got a break to finish it off. Yeah, we have got a full house in the commentary team.
That's
Terry
right.
Ann's back. Would you like to? No, she's waving me no and giving me a bad look. Well, this man will.
That's right. We have just joining us now, Pete Trimmer, and the phenomenal Pete Trimmer.
I think I've already broken the microphone. It's hanging off my head.
We have Reg on a possible match-winning turn here, so we'll see how he plays this out, and especially on a turn like this, you know, you just want to get past hoop 1, get everything started, and we'll see if he takes this rush on yellow to red.
just overhit that a little bit. It's the rush down to red, of course.
Yeah, I think he's overrunning a tad, but he's definitely got a cut that that allow him to get that rush.
I was just having a little debate with Jose downstairs about whether Ed had taken the right shot. I agreed with the shot that Ed had taken. Ed wanted the shot down the boundary to give a delayed TP.
Yeah, it's that's something I mentioned right when he was about to take the shot. It's especially against a guy like Reg, who's so well known for sextuples and being so consistent. You don't take a shot where you give him the toughest build. You give your shot. You take the shot that gives you the best chance to hit.
That's my reckoning, especially when Ed shoots so well.
Absolutely, yeah. He's a phenomenal shot, and you just trust your swing and not trusting your opponent to make a mistake. So.
Yeah.
But if you're Ed right now, you're a guy like Reg on a match-winning turn. He's been consistent for a very, very long time. So
yeah, there aren't many straws left to clutch at. Right
no,
now.
no, there is not. He's as solid as they come. So
I thought Reg has looked just slightly psycho about this hoop one since he failed that.
Yeah, that's right.
Ago. So be interesting to see just how much care he takes at this first one.
He's got a good rush. It's one thing I was mentioning to Gareth and Peter is just how different it is today as far as the rest of the days. Is the lawn has started to bake out a little bit, and the wind has made a big difference as far as it is dried out and made it a completely different playing field. If you're approaching from the sides of the hoops, it's miserable. Reverse takeoffs are just about impossible. So anytime you're approaching from somewhere like Reg has just rushed to, it's you're very happy.
Yeah.
Nice shot. Hooping Roque, and he doesn't look very.
He didn't look very
happy
pleased
about
that. But,
no, he didn't.
But given that he would have had 7 or 8 yard return Roque, I'd have been quite pleased.
That's right. Absolutely.
Because
7 and 8 yarders are no guarantee.
So I'll just send this over to 4 now. Rush yellow up the lawn and stop it over to 3. And
that's right.
Really difficult to see Reg making an error from here.
Yeah. It's going to be a big surprise to see Reg not finish this turn.
Yeah. I imagine you'd been slightly rooting for Ed after your great win.
Yeah, it's
well done.
Thank you. I've this week one thing I've tried to do, especially when you play somebody like you play Felix and Patty Chapman and Robert Fletcher, I try to not view my opponent as how good they are, but view it as they're just any other person I've ever played, and if I play well, I have a good chance to win.
Yeah.
And so if you sit there and dwell on the fact of how good your opponent is, especially today, one thing I kept hearing from people is, you're playing Robert Fletcher, you got to play perfect, and that's not the case.
No.
When you play a guy like that, you just have to play your game, and that was my goal today. Is regardless of win or loss, just stay true to what I've been doing all week, and if it results in a win, great. If it doesn't, I went out with a bang. So
yeah, great stuff. So already one surprising little physical error there, going into the yellow rather than having a nice rush.
That's right.
Just creates a bit of a bigger croquet stroke for him.
Yeah, This lawn, I've played on this lawn 4 that they're on right now twice this week, and it's anything but trivial. It's been very interesting to see, especially at Canley here. It's been very interesting to see lawn by lawn the differences. As far as some lawns have, looks like he's just sent yellow into the right stanchion over it. Hoop 3, and but has a very solid rush on blue. So I believe he'll be trying to go for a rush out of hoop 2, and don't want to get too greedy here, but definitely looking for a rush to the east side of the lawn.
Yeah. And Rich looks the disobedient ball. Wondering how it could have misunderstood his instructions.
That's right. Looks like he's cut that a little bit away from the hoop to try and gain some space to possibly get a rush. And like I said before, and anytime you're approaching from behind these hoops, you're happy. Anything to the sides is dreadful.
Any idea what the weather forecast is overnight or tomorrow?
From what I've heard, it's going to be very, very hot.
Okay. Someone had mentioned possibility of it being 32 tomorrow.
Okay. It's going to be very much like today, which was different than any other day this week as far as sun out all day. Lawns throughout the day get much faster, and one thing about, especially in these best-of-5 matches, is you really have to try to stay in play. What a lovely hoop! Yeah. You really have to try and stay in play as much as possible during the matches. You don't want to go through a game where you don't take very much croquet, because in an hour and a half the lawn can completely change speeds. And so anytime you're out of play like that and you get a chance to get back on the lawn, sometimes it might be completely different than the last time you were on the lawn. And so any time where you can stay in play, even if it's like a guy against Reg, anytime you can just take 9, even if he takes the game, the fact that you were on the lawn and you got play in makes a tremendous difference for moving on to the next game.
Yeah, that's totally right.
Nice shot. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. See how he plays this out, I think. Yeah. And like I said, he wants to play this. Normally on other lawns he might play that a little bit farther away from the hoop, and maybe to get yellow farther away so that he makes sure he guarantees a rush after the peel. But on a lawn as tough as this, anything further east would have been much more difficult to approach on. So he's going to play this as close as possible, play a very, very, very small takeoff, and hopefully get this peel. And the rush is not his main concern. It's getting this peel as fast as possible.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right there. It looks like he's very much settling, not for getting a rush on yellow and just playing a big roll afterwards.
The other thing I've noticed is if you notice how close blue is to the hoop, especially on these lawns, sometimes there's small little turns that you might not expect, and so you don't want to play this shot with too little of pace. As you see, Reg has knocked that out of peeling position because he played for a center ball stroke rather than aiming for the left edge of blue. In other lawns where you trust the line a lot more, you might try to cut that a little bit, but here you just want to keep turns going. Any turn that you drop, any break that you drop, it could be match changing. So
yeah,
he's especially